Hello friends, welcome to Science Habitat and we are going to discuss carbohydrates today. So what are carbohydrates? So carbohydrates are the most abundant biomolecules on earth and we can call carbohydrates as hydrates of carbon. However, carbohydrates by definition, as you can see, these are polyhydroxyaldehydes and polyhydroxyketones or such substances which yield polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones upon hydrolysis. Hydrolysis, as you know, it is the lysis of certain substance with the aid of water. Okay, so as far as empirical formula is concerned, it is CnH2nON. Okay, so in this video and in the subsequent videos also, I will tell you how to remember the structures using mnemonics, using certain tricks which I personally use to remember the structures and to remember the facts. So I will share all those things with you and you can develop your own also. So CnH2nON, for example, you don't remember this, hydrates of carbon. So you can write it as C carbon, and what do you understand by hydrates? It is the water molecule. Okay, so hydrate of carbon to the power whole n. Okay, so this is the general formula of carbohydrates, but there are few exceptions to this. Okay, and before we move on to the structure, what are the structures, how to make the structures, we will talk about the classification of carbohydrates. So based on the roles and their different levels of structures, we have classified carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the energy stores. Okay, so for example, glycogen, starch, inulin. So these are some of the polysaccharides. So most of the time carbohydrates as energy source, they are stored as polysaccharides. So starch is present in plants and glycogen is also known as animal starch. Okay, so glycogen is present in our liver, muscles, and they break down to give out glucose. Okay, glucose is a monosaccharide. So the starch and glycogen are the polysaccharides of glucose as the monomeric unit. So these are homopolysaccharides. While dietary molecules, so starch can be used as a dietary molecule. So we eat plants and plants contain starch, and inulin is a polymer of fructose. So fructose is present in in fruits, and inulin is a dietary storage molecule which is present in the tubers and roots and tubers of the plants. So and metabolic intermediates. So metabolic intermediates as glucose 6-phosphate is a metabolic intermediate. We will discuss all these things later on in this lecture only. And component of genetic machinery. So DNA and RNA are the components of genetic machinery, and as you know, we have the sugar unit in the nucleotide. Okay, so it can be deoxyribose in case of DNA, it will be ribose in case of RNA. So those are very important structural molecules in the case of DNA and RNA. And what about structural framework of plants? Most of the time it is plants, and the cell wall of plants, cell wall of which composed of cellulose, bacteria, which is composed of peptidoglycan or murine, and fungi, which is composed of the chitin, and exoskeleton. So I should write it here because it is all about cell wall. Exoskeleton of arthropods such as crustaceans, insects, those are also composed of chitin. Our musculoskeletal system, for example, the joints, it contains the proteoglycans. So these are also composed of carbohydrates. So the hybrid molecules. So carbohydrates are also linked to different proteins, okay, in the form of glycoproteins, in the form of proteoglycans. What is the difference between these two? We are going to discuss now. So, and glycolipids. So most of the time the glycoproteins and glycolipids, they are responsible for the cell membrane formation, okay, and sometimes the blood group is also dependent on these glycoproteins, okay, and proteoglycans such as chondroitin sulfate, hyaluronate, and heparin. So we are going to discuss it in more detail. Okay, carbohydrates, we have just discussed, they are energy stores, and starch is one of the best examples. Starch, which is present in the plants, okay, and it is synthesized, and it is a homopolysaccharide. Homopolysaccharide means a polysaccharide which contains a single type of unit, and in this case it is of glucose, and more appropriately D-glucose, okay, and we will discuss this in the when we are going to discuss polysaccharides in details. So here we are just going to tell you what are the classification of carbohydrates and what are the different energy stores, fuel or dietary source, metabolic intermediates, and genetic material components, and so on. So starch is a homopolysaccharide, and it is a storage molecule in the plants. As you take rice, potato, which are good source of starch, and it is also a dietary. So starch is a dietary dietary or fuel. And apart from starch, you have glycogen, which is also known as animal starch. This is present in our body, and whenever we need energy, if we are starved, so and we are not taking external starch as the energy source, the glycogen gets broken down, or which is known as glycogenolysis. So this glycogenolysis, it helps in attaining more and more glucose molecule. So glucose is actually a fuel for our body. So glucose, it undergoes glycolysis. Glyco refers to the sugar and lysis refers to the breakdown of sugar. So this glycolysis, it gives us ATP, which is the energy molecule. Okay, so this is the energy currency. So starch, it breaks down to glucose with the help of amylase enzyme, which is present in our mouth, salivary amylase, in our intestinal amylase, or which breaks it down to smaller molecules such as maltose plus glucose, etc. It is also dextrans. So this glucose is actually a fuel, while starch, which leads to glucose, can also be considered as a fuel, but the breakdown of starch only leads to maltose and glucose, which eventually gives rise to ATP, the energy molecule, which is very much needed in our body. And when we discuss how the glucose is, it enters the Krebs cycle or the citric acid cycle to give other energy molecules such as NADPH or GTP, which are, again, you cannot say those are the direct source of energy, but they give rise to ATP in somehow in the electron transport chain. Okay, so energy stores, starch, glycogen. So there is one more, inulin. So this is also a storage energy store, and it is a polysaccharide of fructose. Is a polysaccharide of fructose. This is known as inulin, and it is most often it is present in the roots and rhizomes in plants. Okay, so these plants primarily contain inulin, so they lack in their starch content. However, most of the plants, they give rise to starch. They store starch as their dietary molecule or their storage. Okay, so apart from this, you also take sugar as a sweetener in your daily diet, such as sucrose, which is a disaccharide. So sucrose and these are also maltose in the form of malt sugar, and lactose, which is a milk sugar. Okay, so maltose is a disaccharide of glucose, and lactose is the disaccharide of glucose and galactose. So these are disaccharides, and you can call fructose as also a dietary sugar. This is present in fruits, honey, So these are the dietary sources. Metabolic intermediates. There are metabolic intermediates also. For example, glucose 6-phosphate. Glucose 6-phosphate is a metabolic intermediate, which is an intermediate of metabolic pathways such as glycolysis or glycogen synthesis or pentose phosphate pathway. Okay, so glucose 6-phosphate is an intermediate, and there are many other metabolic intermediates we can discuss all of those later on. And as far as genetic material is concerned, we have deoxyribonucleic acid, or which is famously known as DNA. Now everybody knows DNA nowadays. Okay, so the name deoxyribo here, it gives you the idea that it contains the sugar or the monosaccharide deoxyribose. Okay, so this is the monosaccharide. So here also the sugar is involved in the formation of deoxyribonucleic acid or DNA. And in case of RNA or ribonucleic acid, RNA, you have ribo, it refers to ribose sugar. Okay, so this DNA, which is most often double stranded, it has the backbone of the DNA. It won't be possible if deoxyribose sugar is not there. So it contains nucleotide, which contains deoxyribose sugar, the nitrogenous bases, and the phosphate group. We will discuss this in the nucleotide chapter. While ribonucleic acid, it has the ribose sugar. So these both are genetic material. So you know, deoxyribonucleic acid, DNA, it gives rise to RNA in the form of in the process of transcription, and RNA gives rise to protein in the form of translation. Okay, so while RNA is sometimes the genetic material in some of the viruses, for example, nowadays the coronavirus, you already know that the RNA is the genetic material in coronavirus or SARS-CoV-2 or SARS-CoV-1. So this in this COVID-19, the virus which is causing the COVID, it is known as SARS-CoV-2, and the SARS-CoV-1 was the virus which was there in the 2003 epidemic, which was not of this scale, and it was most localized in and around China. Okay, while India was a little bit affected with the 2003 SARS virus also, but this COVID-19, it is very, very difficult to handle, and we can discuss COVID-19 also in one of the videos. Okay, so okay, so structural biomolecules are the biomolecules or the carbohydrates which prepares the plant cell wall, fungi cell wall, insect exoskeleton. Okay, so the etc. So the plant cell wall, which is composed of cellulose, this is again a homopolysaccharide, just like starch. This is a homopolysaccharide of the same glucose molecule, that is, and it is a linear chain as opposed to the starch, which is a branched chain. Okay, so starch, the glucose molecules are linked together as 1,6 glycosidic bonds. Here it is beta 1,4 glycosidic bonds. Okay, and this is a glucose, which is the monomeric unit. So these are linear chain and these are insoluble as compared to starch, which is quite soluble in water. So this is a cellulose, and you know that the cotton, paper, these are the good examples of cellulose. Bacterial cell wall, however, is different from plant cell wall, and it contains the peptidoglycan, or we also call it as murine. This is a heteropolysaccharide. And it contains the N-acetyl glucosamine, or NAG plus N-acetyl muramic acid, or NAM. Okay, so here it is a heteropolysaccharide which contains the repeating disaccharides, or NAG, NAM, NAG, NAM, NAG, NAM, and so on. So this is a repeating disaccharide as opposed to cellulose, where glucose is being repeated again and again. Here the repeating units are these. Okay, obviously these are connected with each other. However, when we use lysozyme, an enzyme which is present in our saliva, tears, okay, these are bactericidal enzymes which are present in our body. Okay, so what these do is they lyse this, so that the bacterial cell wall is lysed, and if present in if present in a solution, the water will go inside it through endosmosis, and the cell will burst. So this is how the lysozyme acts. Lysozyme is an enzyme, and you must have heard about penicillin. So the penicillin is an antibiotic, or one of the earliest antibiotics, which also disrupts this membrane. So it has a beta lactam ring. What it does is it inhibits the enzyme responsible for this bond formation in the bacterial cell. Okay, if it inhibits the enzyme, what will happen? There will be loose cell wall, bacterial cell wall. If the bacterial cell wall is loose, it will be lysed. Okay, so that is how 70% ethanol also works. It penetrates the bacterial cell and it lyses the cells. So that is why in this COVID situation, we are advised to use 70% ethanol or hand sanitizer. Okay, although the hand sanitizer also contains, apart from 70% ethanol, it also contains the hand protective, a certain amount of glycerine and perfume. Okay, so that the hands will not get dehydrated, and the texture of the skin will be intact. So that is why hand sanitizers are also used, which aim to lyse the bacterial cells. So if you use more of alcohol, more than 70%, let's say absolute ethanol, what happens? The cells will not be lysed, instead it will be dried up. So if the bacterial cell is dried up, so it will regain its potency once it gets the favorable environment or favorable osmotic pressure. So that is why it is appropriately standardized to 70 to 75% ethanol or isopropyl alcohol. And what about fungi cell wall? So the fungi cell wall, it contains the chitin. Okay, so the chitin is also a homopolysaccharide of N-acetyl glucosamine. It's a homopolysaccharide. That means it has multiple units of N-acetyl glucosamine. E. Okay, and this same chitin is the composition of arthropod exoskeleton. So this also contains chitin. As you know, we don't have, as human beings or mammals, we don't have exoskeletons or higher animals in the evolutionary ladder. So in evolution, not in evolutionary ladder, but in evolution, we are higher organisms, the vertebrates. So the vertebrates are mainly, they possess endoskeleton. The bones are the endoskeleton of the vertebrates. However, there is no bones in case of insects and crustaceans. Okay, so in insects and crustaceans, they have exoskeleton, which is known as chitin. Again, this is N-acetyl glucosamine, the polymer of N-acetyl glucosamine. This is a chitin. So, so they have hard exoskeleton, which is very difficult to break down. And this chitin is such a robust and such a durable material that nowadays I have just read some news in which the chitin is being considered for the Mars exploration, where they want to build the chitin houses in order to endure the Martian environment. Okay, so this is how the chitin is useful. Okay, so let's talk about our or the animals system where this structural polysaccharide is used. So we have in the synovial fluid and in the skin, we have hyaluronate. So hyaluronate or the hyaluronic acid. So these are the proteoglycans. So these proteoglycans, they are present in the skin. So in the you know that hyaluronate or hyaluronic acid. So the hyaluronic acid has the ionized form is hyaluronate, and this is one of the most used proteoglycan in the cosmetic industry, where the hyaluronate is being given under the skin so that the skin will last, the wrinkles will fade away, and it is used as a derma filler, but with some caution, because there have been reports in which the hyaluronate can cause blindness also. Okay, so to be very cautious, hyaluronate has to be used by very expert people and if needed. So hyaluronate is the, again it is a proteoglycan. Proteoglycan is most 95% of the part is glycan and 5% is the protein part, as opposed to glycoprotein, in which most of the component is protein part and the glyco part is very less. So it is a proteoglycan and the glycan part is, it is a glycosaminoglycan and it is a heteropolysaccharide of N-acetyl galactosamine plus glucuronic acid. Okay, so and this is also present in hyaluronate, is also present in synovial fluid. So synovial fluid also contains another glycoprotein, proteoglycan, which is known as lubricin. So these lubricate the joints. Okay. So hyaluronate, and there are many glycosaminoglycan, other glycosaminoglycans, which are present in the skin and joint cartilages or other cartilages. Okay, so this is the aspect of the structural biomolecules, how the biomolecules are playing the structural role in bacterial cell, plant cell, fungi cell, cell wall, arthropod exoskeleton, skin and joint cartilage, and synovial fluid. So the hyaluronate is composed of N-acetyl glucosamine and glucuronic acid, not galactosamine. So friends, carbohydrates linked to proteins. So there are different types of proteins with which the carbohydrates are linked. So they are known as glycoproteins and proteoglycans. So first of all, let's talk about proteoglycans. In the proteoglycans, the glycan part or the sugar part is most often the glycosaminoglycans. Okay, so these glycosaminoglycans are heteropolysaccharides, not homopolysaccharides, unlike the homopolysaccharides are glucose, starch, etc., inulin, etc. So here you have the heteropolysaccharides, which means the monomeric units are not the same monomeric units which is repeating. Instead, there are two different monomeric units or the disaccharide units which is being repeated again and again. Okay, so these are anionic heteropolysaccharide chains of repeating disaccharide units. So these sugar molecule is the anionic or the amino sugars such as glucosamine and galactosamine. Okay, and the examples include chondroitin sulfate, keratin sulfate. Okay, as the name suggests, chondroitin, it refers to the cartilage. Keratin, it refers to something like the hair. Dermatin sulfate, it refers to skin. And heparin, you all know this is one of the most used anticoagulants which is being used. And in this in coronavirus, in the COVID-19, the patients often they struggle with the multi-organ dysfunction. Okay, so what is the reason of this multi-organ dysfunction? Is the clot formation in the cell. It is because of the cytokine storm, which damages the endothelial cells, thereby causing small thrombotic formation. And these clot formation, these will go and obstruct the blood flow to different organs. So in order to manage that, the patients are being treated with the anticoagulants, blood thinners, and heparin is one of those. Okay, and high hyaluronate, we have already discussed. High hyaluronate or hyaluronic acid, it is one of the components of the cell membrane, and in the when the sperm fuses with the egg, there is an enzyme which is known as hyaluronidase. So this enzyme is present in the acrosome of the sperm, and it fuses with the cell membrane of the ovum, which helps the sperm to fuse with the ovum. So that is how the hyaluronate is important, and the enzyme catalyzing or the degrading hyaluronate is also important. So these constitute the proteoglycans. So proteoglycans are, as I just told you, how to remember that proteoglycans are most of the sugar part. Just like a Batman is a man with some quality of bat. The Spider-Man, the suffix is man, so it has some quality of the spider, but it is not a spider, it is rather a man. So here it's a proteoglycan, so the quality is of protein, some sort of qualities of protein, while the entire thing is more of a sugar. So it is 95% sugar and 5% protein. So these proteoglycans, what they do, as the name suggests, chondroitin sulfate, it is the structural integrity of skin and joints. Proteoglycans, as hyaluronate we have discussed, it lubrication of joints. Proteoglycans also help in the they are also the components of the they also help in the cell proliferation. Okay, and cell adhesion to extracellular matrix. Extracellular matrix. So proteoglycans are most of sugar and less of protein. Okay. So let's talk about glycoproteins. So let's talk about glycoproteins. So glycoproteins are the are, as the name suggests, the suffix suggests that it is more of protein and less of the carbohydrate part. So glycoprotein, okay, as opposed to the proteoglycan, in which the protein part was lesser and the glycan part was more. Okay, so in glycoproteins, the carbohydrates are covalently attached to the protein. Okay, so the covalent attachment is either O linked or N linked. Okay, so uh, this in glycoprotein, the protein part is much more than the carbohydrate part. In proteoglycan, the carbohydrate part is more than the protein part. However, the glycoproteins have much varied roles. Okay, for example, the glycoproteins are the immunoglobulins or the antibodies, as you have seen that in the COVID treatment, the antibodies are very important. In plasma therapy also, we give the antibodies produced elsewhere in some other patient. So the patients who have recovered from the COVID-19, they are donating their plasma which contains already formed antibodies or immunoglobulins. So those immunoglobulins are glycoproteins instead. Okay, so these glycoproteins are going to attach to the virus and thereby eliminating the virus from the body. Okay, so apart from that, glycoproteins are the components of the blood group. So these glycoproteins, however, the glycoproteins and glycolipids, they contain the sugar molecule which determines whether the person has the RBC with A blood group or B blood group. Okay, for example, the blood group of A blood group type has N-acetyl-D-galactosamine, while that of blood group B has the galactose sugar molecule as the determining factor for blood group A and B. Okay, so it helps in the cell adhesion also, cell to cell contact and cell adhesion. Okay, and the it also helps in the sperm and egg binding, and these are the components of the cell membrane. Okay, so for example, the sialic acid residue, it is present over the membrane. Okay, it is attached to some of the proteins. Okay, and what else? So these are also serum proteins. The serum proteins or the proteins which are synthesized by the liver cells, these are mostly glycoproteins. Okay, sometimes in research what we do is we try to isolate these glycoproteins with the help of certain proteins which are known as lectins. Okay, so we use these lectins in the lectin coated beads, so the in a column, and then run the serum, and then it will, the glycoprotein will be eluted out. So the lectins are the specific proteins which bind to the glucose part of the this glycoproteins. Okay, so so in that way, glycoproteins are very important molecules. So carbohydrates are also attached to lipid molecules through glycosidic bonds. So when carbohydrates are attached to lipids through glycosidic bonds, those are known as glycolipids. So the combination of proteins, the carbohydrates and the lipids. So this is known as glycolipids. So as you know, the cell membrane is composed mostly of the lipid molecules such as phosphatidyl choline, phosphatidyl inositol, and other phospholipids. So glycophosphatidyl inositol is such an example. Glycophosphatidylate inositol is such an example, which is a glycolipid. So as far as blood grouping is concerned, so these the carbohydrates we just discussed, they are also attached to the lipid molecules of the RBCs in order to determine whether the blood group is A or B, AB or O. Okay, so and the cell-cell interaction, obviously when the cells are going to interact with each other, so the glycan parts play a very important role in the cell-cell interaction. Okay, and the immune response, obviously if the cell-cell interaction is there, the immune response is also there. Okay, students, then the next part is what are the other roles of carbohydrates. Okay, so carbohydrates, they help in the transport of intracellular proteins. Okay, so this transport of intracellular proteins, the best example is the mannose 6-phosphate. What does it do? It will help in the transport of proteins from Golgi complex to the lysosomes, or the proteins which are Golgi to lysosomes. So these proteins are the lysosome specific proteins. It should have a mannose 6-phosphate marker in it so that it can it is a kind of its postal address. So if mannose 6-phosphate is there bound to the protein will go to the lysosome where it should act as an enzyme, or because you know lysosome is it has so many hydrolytic enzymes. It helps in the lysis of pathogens or bacteria or anything which comes inside it, or even viruses. It will help in the proteolysis of those things so that it will be killed inside the cells. Okay, so if we are talking about the interaction of pathogens with the cell, then proteins are also helpful in the virus invasion or the bacterial invasion inside the cells. Okay, how do they do it? They have the glycoprotein part which helps in the cell-cell interaction. We have already discussed it. Okay, so host pathogen interaction. Host pathogen interaction is there. Okay, so we have for example influenza virus. It recognizes the sialic acid residue over the of cell membrane. Okay, so this influenza virus has the ligand which will help in the recognition of the sialic acid residue over the cell membrane. Which cell membrane? Any cell membrane inside our body. And now it has been, very recently it has been discovered that the SARS-CoV-2 or the COVID-19 virus or the coronavirus, how does it enter the cell? Through S protein. It's spike protein. The spike protein goes and attaches with the ACE2 receptor. Okay, ACE2 receptor of the cell. So this ACE2 receptor of the cell, then this interaction will help in the invagination of this bacteria. That is how the invagination of the virus. That is how the virus goes inside the cell and multiplies inside. Okay, so SARS-CoV-2 it has the spike protein or the S protein. This spike protein or S protein, it has the glycan part. It goes and binds with the ACE2 receptor. Okay, that is how host pathogen interaction is there, and there is a invasion of the parasite into the cells. Okay, and what else? The carbohydrates help in protein folding. You know, glycosylation is one of the very important post-translational modifications. Okay, so sometimes the post-translational modification is glycosylation, then the proper protein folding is achieved. Okay, so what else? They also act as anticoagulants such as heparin, which is a glycoprotein. Okay, so we now let's talk about monosaccharides, disaccharides and polysaccharides. How the carbohydrates are classified structurally.